The ambulance that lost its way. The rain poured relentlessly, drumming against the windshield of the ambulance as it cut through the dark, winding road. Inside, the atmosphere was heavy. Harun, the driver, and Rizal, the paramedic, exchanged uneasy glances. They were tasked with transporting a deceased body to a remote village, where the grieving family awaited. "This GPS is useless," Harun muttered, smacking the device that displayed only static lines. "Just keep going straight," Rizal suggested. "The village can't be too far." The road was eerily empty with no streetlights to guide their way. The only illumination came from the ambulance's headlights, which barely penetrated the thick fog that now enveloped the vehicle. As they drove, a strange unease settled in. The scenery outside didn't change, just endless trees swaying in the storm. Harun glanced at the dashboard clock. It read 11:45 p.m. An hour later, it still read 11:45 p.m. "Is this thing broken?" Harun asked, tapping the clock. Rizal frowned. "We've been driving for hours. This doesn't make sense." A low, groaning sound came from the back of the ambulance. Both men froze. "Did you hear that?" Harun asked, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. "It's probably just the stretcher shifting," Rizal replied, though his voice wavered. The groaning grew louder, followed by a faint knocking. "Stop the ambulance," Rizal whispered. Reluctantly, Harun pulled over. The two men turned to face the back, dread pooling in their stomachs. The knocking had stopped, replaced by an unsettling silence. "You open it," Harun said, his voice barely audible. Rizal took a deep breath, reached for the latch, and swung the door open. The stretcher was still there, the body wrapped in a white shroud. Nothing appeared out of place, yet the air inside felt colder than the storm outside. "See? Nothing," Rizal said, though his relief was short-lived. A sudden, loud bang reverberated through the ambulance, shaking it violently. Harun and Rizal scrambled back into their seats and sped off. The road ahead seemed endless, twisting and turning in impossible ways. No matter how far they drove, they couldn't escape the dense fog. The groaning resumed, now accompanied by a faint whispering. "What is that?" Harun shouted, panic seeping into his voice. "I don't know," Rizal yelled back, gripping the dashboard as the ambulance lurched forward. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the middle of the road. Harun slammed on the brakes, skidding to a halt inches away from what looked like a woman in a drenched, tattered dress. Her head was bowed, her long hair obscuring her face. Should we check on her?" Rizal asked, though every fiber of his being screamed no. Before Harun could answer, the woman slowly lifted her head, revealing hollow, black eyes and a twisted smile. "Drive!" Rizal screamed. Harun floored the accelerator, but the woman didn't move. Instead, she vanished into thin air, only to reappear directly in front of the windshield, her face pressed against the glass. The ambulance swerved violently, crashing into a ditch. When Harun and Rizal regained consciousness, they found themselves back on the road, the ambulance eerily pristine. But the stretcher was empty. The whispers returned, louder this time, surrounding them. In the rearview mirror, they saw the woman sitting in the back, her twisted smile wider than before.